can't learn when God is teaching us because we have a stronghold. And we can't yield when God is chastening us because we have a stronghold. And we can't grow when God is stretching us because under pressure we don't get stretched. We deceive to take the pressure off. That's a stronghold.
Open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart and filling every part of our praise.
Now we're turning our attention to God's Word. And here at Harvest, on all of our campuses right now, we're going to take another step in this fall series called Think Differently. And really, I think kind of the phrase that summarizes what we're working on is that nothing is different until we think differently. Let's say that together. Say it. Nothing is different until we think different. That's why God's Word gives so much attention to the subject of the mind. Now, mind in Scripture can mean everything from determination to memory. More than 200 references in the Bible to the subject of your mind. Why? Because nothing is different till we think differently. God is exceedingly interested in our minds. In fact, while we tend to think of following Jesus and imitating Jesus as a pretty physical thing, you know, I'm following in his steps, I'm trying to, actually, Philippians 2 says that it really begins, as all godliness begins, with our thinking. And Philippians 2:5 says, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. 6 different Hebrew words are translated mind in the Old Testament. Sometimes it has more to do with the emotional part of our soul, and it's translated heart. And sometimes by context, it's more about our thinking and our motives and our purposes. But make no mistake about it, it's all about our mind. God is so interested in our minds that David said in Psalm 139, he said that God knows my thoughts from afar off. Now, he goes on later in the psalm to make it really clear that he doesn't mean that God's somewhere else knowing my thoughts from, hey, that guy sitting there at the back of the worships, I know his thoughts from way over here. That's not what it's saying, because David goes on to say, where shall I flee from your presence? Wherever I am, that's where you are, God. And so when it says that God knows your thoughts, my thoughts, our thoughts from afar off, what he's saying is, I'm here, and way out there somewhere are the things I'm going to be thinking this afternoon, tonight, tomorrow, this month, after Christmas. My thoughts are afar off, those thoughts. I haven't even chosen those thoughts yet, but God already knows. In fact, isn't this awesome to think God knows how our thinking is going to be changed by these hours in His Word, thinking about thinking differently. God already knows the impact that's going to be made in our mental and emotional and spiritual and relational health. He already understands how you are going to respond to this message and how you're going to be, how I'm going to be, how we're going to be changed by it. This is how important our thoughts are. Now, one of the keys in this, of course, is this matter of strongholds. And I have no joy in saying to you that you have strongholds in your thinking. We have strongholds in our thinking. You've got them. Fortified places that are resistant, stubbornly so, to God's Word and to God's will. And some of those stubborn patterns of thinking are from your disposition. And your disposition might be, we're going to talk about this at the end of the message, but whatever your temperament is, whatever your personality is, whatever you're born like that. We were born this way, and the way that we think, some of the strongholds are from our disposition, and as we studied and we'll complete in today's message, some of them are from our home of origins, the way my dad thought, it's the way my parents thought. My grandpa, actually, I think, was the person who was really like this, and you hardly know you have them, but you have these fortified strongholds. Now, the problem is that we can't change our minds. We can't think differently. We can't destroy these strongholds, all right, until we know what they are. And that's why we spent some time talking about the strongholds related to my disposition. That's why we're going to spend a little more time talking about the strongholds related to my home of origin. And then, God willing, next time we're going to talk about the strongholds related to my own behavior. And this is what I was born with, and this is what I kind of got from where I grew up. But I've made some choices, and those are affecting me and my strongholds. And trust me when I tell you we are going to get to tearing them down. But how can we tear them down when we don't even know what they are? So we're going to go back into the life of Jacob in this message and ask God. Will you pray with me and ask God to really just open our... Father, we ask that we love these people so, and we believe with all of our hearts. Forgive us for thinking that the battle is elsewhere, with her, with them, with that. When we know in our heart of hearts that other people are facing the same issues we are and are doing better than we are. We don't want to remain here in these lowlands of unbelief and struggle. We want to live in light of the things that you say and the things that you promise. And so where there are strongholds in our thinking, we're asking you, Holy Spirit of God, to make them so clear to us. I pray that every listener during this message would sense an unusual energy and interest in getting to the bottom of my fortified patterns of thinking that keep me from loving and living and giving and rejoicing as you created me to. So help us and reveal ourselves to us and tear down the strongholds. We pray in the name of Jesus. Say it. Amen. Amen. All right. Open up to Genesis. And I'm going to do a little review while you're finding your way over to Genesis. We're going to get through. Now, keep in mind that I can't sort of, here's what I think the 5 strongholds are. We don't do that at Harvest. Just turn to your neighbor and say, we don't do that. I mean, I could think of all kinds of things to put on my list. And you know, I could think of, you know, people that I'd like to kind of preach on their strongholds instead of my own, because that's easy. But actually, we're going to let Jacob's life guide us, not because it's a thorough list of strongholds, but because it surfaces enough information to get us thinking about our own, whether they're the same as his or overlap with his, or just kind of point us to our own. So last time we talked from Genesis 26 about generational sin strongholds, and the idea that because of how Abraham was, and remember that thing with Abraham and Isaac, and how Isaac has his beautiful wife out somewhere, and they're feeling a little threatened by some of the people that are around and kind of looking at his wife, and they're like, hey, she's fine. That's a fine woman right there. And do you remember how he dealt with that? Come on, say what he said. What did he say? No, come on, say it like I said it. He said, he's my sister, right? Remember that? And that was good. I'm blessed by that you picked up on that. And I got that out of the Hebrew, actually. You don't see that in your English Bible. And I hope you appreciate the scholarship in my teaching. But the crazy thing wasn't that he was controlled by fear. The crazy thing wasn't that he lied under pressure. The crazy thing was that in Genesis 20, his father did the exact same thing. A stronghold. And we studied from Deuteronomy 24 that God doesn't actually punish sons or grandsons or daughters or granddaughters for their parents' or grandparents' sin. He doesn't do that. But he does say in Deuteronomy chapter 5 that he visits the iniquities of the fathers upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me. And so what does that mean? He visits the iniquities. Well, he doesn't judge them for it, but there's an inclination there. There's a temptation there. There's a struggle there. That's a slippery place for me. And we watch one another and we're like, I can't believe she's falling into that. Well, she's not like you. And she has her own disposition. She has her own home of origin. She has her own family line. And things are harder for him than they are for you. God forgive us for our judgment of one another. Someone say amen. And God give us a graciousness and a kindness. Some people are just first-generation believers trying to figure this all out. And so I just pray that we will have insight into that matter and be reminded that Deuteronomy 5:10 says that while God does visit the iniquities of the fathers upon the children to the fourth generation, he also says, and let me just read this to you from Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 10, but showing steadfast love to thousands of those who love me and keep my commands. And so these chains can be broken. This thinking can change. Generational sin strongholds and then conflict resolution strongholds. And I don't know what you learned from your parents, fight or flight, but actually we kind of, I think, concluded together last week that because opposites attract, you probably had one or the other, probably one of each. And the big problem isn't when the fighter is fighting. The big problem is when the flighter turns and starts. That's game on now. They hardly ever do that. And I don't know what was going on in your home of origin. Maybe there were some raised voices. Maybe there was some things broken. Maybe there was some physical contact. There's many people in our church, people that I'm very dear to actually, who had the police at their house, not infrequently growing up. And my wife Kathy had that. And so the point is to get, and by God's grace, we have never had that. Someone say amen. Amen. But maybe you have had that. So the point is to get the pattern broken, and just conflict resolution strongholds, and how we talked about how Isaac was avoid, dig. Oh, you want my well? Okay, I'll go dig another one. And oh, you want that well too? No problem. We'll move on. And oh, you don't want me to stand here? Okay, I'll stand over here. Is everything good now? No, it isn't. Okay, dig another well. Okay. And the problem isn't avoiding conflict, because sometimes that's exactly what we need to do. The problem is that we always want to do it the way we do it. And some of us never engage. And some of us never walk away. And that's the stronghold. Then bad decision-making strongholds. And Esau married badly. But that was just the tip of the Titanic iceberg in terms of this family. They're filled with so much dysfunction from awful decision-making. If you're ready to jump into God's Word, say jump. Here's the fourth one. Selfish deception strongholds. I'm in Genesis 27. Genesis 27. When Isaac was old and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau, his older son, and said to him, "My son." And he said, "Here I am," which that's kind of funny, because when you're old and nearly blind and you say, I just picture Esau's like right here. And he's like, "Esau!" And he's like, "Here I am." And, "Oh, I didn't realize you were there." "Right, Dad, you're blind now." He says, "Behold, I am old." That's a fair statement of the obvious. "And I do not know the day of my death." Like all of us, God knows. Our days are numbered. "Now then, take your weapons," he says to his son, "your quiver and your bow, and go out to the field and hunt game for me," which wouldn't be bizarre except for verse 4, "and prepare for me delicious food, such as I love, and bring it to me, so that I may eat, that my soul may bless you before I die." Now that's not like sneeze, bless you, okay? This is actually a conference of spiritual and material prosperity from the Father to the firstborn son. The blessing and the birthright were kind of tied up together. And so just think wedding, dedication, baptism, graduation, inheritance. Think about all of that tied up into one big God event. So it's a little weird that, if we got invited to your wedding, we wouldn't be like, all right, well, before we come to the ceremony, get your gun and go out to the forest preserve and go get something that we can eat at your wedding. Generally speaking, when the event is in your honor, you're not involved. But what we're seeing here is that Isaac is exceedingly selfish. I'll do it. I'll give you the blessing, but you're going to do something for me first. I'm old. I'm down to the wire here. I have to give this stuff to somebody. I'll give it to you, but you go do something for me first. It's just really strange. Let's keep reading. So Rebekah, ever the eavesdropper, ever the schemer, is this lady here. She's a piece of work. Now, when Rebekah was listening, she was outside the tent listening when Isaac spoke to his son Esau. So when Esau went to the field to hunt for game and bring it, Rebekah said to her son, she has actually two sons, so it should say to her other son, but she's so focused on her little favorite games that she says to her favorite son, we learned that a couple weeks ago, she says, I heard your father speak to your brother Esau, bring me game and prepare for me delicious food that I may eat it and bless you before the Lord before I die. So here's her word, verse 8. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice as I command you. Go to the flock and bring me 2 young goats so that I may prepare from them delicious. So she's going to steal the goats out of the flock. I mean, Isaac, I don't know, we're going to talk later about how you view money. I mean, the guy's at the end of his life. Couldn't he just got a couple of the goats he was about to give his son? But no, we got to go catch them wild. A mom, on the other hand, is like, we're going to take the ones that he doesn't want to kill, and we're going to kill those, and he's blind anyway. And so this was the plan, verse 10, and you shall bring it to your father to eat, so that he may bless you before he dies. We're going to trick your father into giving the blessing to you, and not, so even Jacob, who is 100% a mama's boy, somehow manages to object mildly and say to Rebekah, his mother, my brother Esau is a hairy man. Not the conversation you want to have with your mom, right? Like, I don't know, Mom, if you remember, when we were going through the change and my brother, do you remember that, Mom? It's like, ugh. But here he comes with it. See what he says there? This is actually kind of crazy. He says, my brother Esau is a hairy man, and I am a smooth man. What? What does he mean? Does he mean like I'm smooth? No, I don't think he means that, does he? He means like contrast, so it's like I'm smooth. He has to shave twice a day. I'm good a couple times a month, I guess. So he's having this perhaps my father will feel me. Someone say icky. Perhaps my father, is this happening right now? I'd like to choose another passage. Perhaps my father will feel me, and I shall seem to be mocking him and bring a curse upon myself and not a blessing. Well, she didn't even slow down. That wasn't even a speed bump. Verse 13, Rebekah's like, let your curse be on me. So just help me here. So how much respect does she have for her husband? Hold up how much? She's like, Mom, if he figures out that I'm not Esau, he's going to curse me. And she's like, his curses. Let his curse be on me. His dad's big curses. Just have him curse me. This messed up family right here. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. So, only obey my voice and go and bring them to me. So off he goes on his little goat hunt out to the corral. Verse 14, so he went and took them, the goats, and brought them, the goats, to his mother, and his mother prepared delicious food such as his father loved. Then Rebekah took the best garments of Esau, her older son, which were with her in the house. So she's doing Esau's laundry. He's like the kid that never leaves home, right? He's doing his laundry. He's over 40 years old. Maybe that's why she didn't like his wives. But she's got his clothes at her house. 16, and the skins of young goats she put on his hands and on the smooth part of his neck, and she put the delicious food. And I'm going to try to just make this a little bit more. I need a bit of help here. Who has like a really big coat? I need a big coat that I could wear. Is that a good big heavy coat? Big coat. Oh, come on, honey, I'm not wearing your coat. Don't even kid around. I'll wear your coat. All right, that's adequate. That's adequate. That's great. So I got to have this coat, but I need some more stuff. Who's got like a crazy hat or something? Got a crazy hat? I need a crazy hat. Here's a crazy hat. Okay, perfect. Any more hats? Because, I mean, he's an outdoor guy, right? So he's got to dress up like his brother, the outdoor guy. You with me on this? And he's going to, because his brother he's smooth and his brother is, say it. We might as well say it. He's that hairy guy. And so he's... So I need some, I mean, this is probably not politically correct, but I could really use some fur or something. You got some fur? Oh, is that great? An I am loved teddy bear. Yes, you are. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Do we have any more fur? Got some fur here. And I brought this part myself. This is going okay. You know, you get into this, you don't really know where you're headed. I did bring this with me. Come on, bring that up to me. So we got the food. We've got the I'm so hairy thing. And, all right. Let the word of God come alive to us now. 27:18. So he went into his father. I'm Esau, right? He's going to try to trick his dad. It does help that he's blind. And he said, here I am. Here I am. Who are you, my son? Jacob said to his father, I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done just as you told me. Now sit up and eat, because he had to let him know where he was, and eat of my game that your soul may bless me. But Isaac said to his son, I mean, can you imagine his heart is just pounding right now, right? He's like, boom, 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 because mom doesn't care about the curse, but he does. And so Isaac said to his son, how is it that you found it so quickly, my son? He's like, dang, I told her that was fast. I mean, that goat corral's only 100 feet outside the door. But he's like, because the Lord your God granted me success. Then Isaac said to Jacob, please come near that I may feel you, say icky, my son, to know whether you are really my son Esau or not. He's like, dang this. But what's he going to do now? So Jacob went near to Isaac, his father, who ickied him and said, so here's what he says. The voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands, so he's feeling, the hands, and he's like, it feels like, and but the hands are the hands of Esau, verse 23. And he did not recognize him because his hands were hairy like his brother Esau's. Dang, we did it. So he blessed him. So he's starting the prayer now, and he's got his hands on his sons, but he still pulls up one more time. Are you really my son, Esau? I am. Then he said, bring it near to me that I may eat of my son's game and bless you. So he brought it near to him, and he ate, and he brought him wine, and he drank. Then his father Isaac said to him, this is getting crazy. Come near and kiss me, my son. He's still checking. Jacob, who loved to avoid conflict, was freaking here. He came near and kissed him, and Isaac, oh, nice job, Mom, with the clothes. Isaac smelled the smell of his garments and blessed him and said, so let me just read the blessing to you. So he says to him, see, the smell of my son is as the smell of a field that the Lord has blessed. May God give you of the dew of heaven and of the fatness of the earth and plenty of grain and wine. Let people serve you and nations bow down to you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be everyone who blesses you. Amazing. Except that the whole thing was pulled off with a massive, massive lie. Selfish deception strongholds. How many of you grew up in homes where when the pressure's on, we lie to get what we have to have? And we deceive, or maybe it's not an outright lie always, maybe it's not a bold-faced lie, but we steer it and spin it and twist it and find a way to get our way. That is a massive stronghold in this family. Grandfather, father, son, has to be broken. Jot these down. I see them all in the text. I'll give them to you real quick. Selfish deceptions. My needs before your needs. See that happening here? How many people see that in the text? My needs before your needs. That's a selfish deception. And then lying is better than losing. So the pressure's on, and how can we get this? Well, we'll lie to get it, and then under pressure, keep lying. So Isaac is, well, is that really you? Yes. Are you sure that? Yes. Are you absolutely? Yes. Under pressure, keep lying. Play favorite crazy kid games. And this is my preferred child, and that's so dysfunctional and weird and creepy and hurtful. And then this, if in doubt, press ahead. Just put the pedal to the metal, keep going. Now, this isn't some small obscure story. We studied on Wednesday nights. We're having a great time. And on Wednesday nights, we studied a few weeks back from Hebrews chapter 12, how Esau sold his birthright for one single meal, and this whole subject matter of all of this deception is talked about in the New Testament. And so we can't learn when God is teaching us because we have a stronghold, and we can't yield when God is chastening us because we have a stronghold, and we can't grow when God is stretching us because under pressure we don't get stretched. We deceive to take the pressure off. And boy, Isaac thinks he's doing a godly thing, but his selfishness and foolishness is everywhere. Rebecca thinks that she can somehow trick. The blessing is something ultimately that God gives. The parent is just the transferer of the title. They work at the title office. They're just doing the deed. They're the administrator of it. God is the one who gives the blessing. Can you really trick? Do you think God's going, oh, well, now I forget who's the firstborn. Now, how many people think God was confused by this? Right. Not. So, Jacob thinks that any way to self-advantage is a win, but we're going to see that it's a loss. And then Esau thinks that he has all the time in the world to get his life squared away with God, and he doesn't realize that the clock is about to strike midnight. So is some of this in your home? Selfishness and the deception that often goes with it? Is that in your home of origin? Is that what was given to you? Is that what you're giving to your children? And then this. Money matters strongholds. So let's start at 27 verse 30. As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, when Jacob had scarcely gone out from the presence of Isaac his father, Esau, his brother, now this is like a play. It's like we're at a play now. And the one brother just leaves, and the other brother comes walking in from his hunting. Verse 31, he also prepared delicious food and brought it to his father. And he said, Father, let my father arise. The father's laying on his elbow, burping. Let my father arise and eat of his son's game that you may bless me. Now, you got to see that Isaac is, first of all, old. I mean, how many naps do people as old as this guy take? A lot. How many naps do they take after they've just had a big meal? How many naps do they take after a big meal, after a big event? This is post-Thanksgiving dinner, post-football game, blind guy on the couch, very old. How tuned in is he? Not very. And here comes fired up, I'm going to get blessed, Esau. And passive father, 32, pretty sad. His father Isaac said to him, who are you? He's like, I'm your son Esau, your firstborn. Then Isaac trembled very violently. This is serious stuff. Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me? And I ate it all. Ate it fast enough apparently not to know it was goat. I ate it all before you came, and I've blessed him, yes, and he shall be blessed. That is awful. That is awful. I did it. It's done. I'm not doing anything else. He knows in the back of his mind this is what his wife wanted all along. And if mama ain't happy. So I don't know if I want to mess that up. This has all kind of worked out good. I'm Mr. Passive. I don't like to deal with things. They tricked me. I kind of felt like they might be tricking me, but it's kind of going to work out good for me because I got what mom wants out the door. Sorry for you, son. And he's not going to take this well. As soon as Esau heard the words of his father, verse 34, he cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry. Could I be relieved of the pressure of trying to recreate that? Let's just, no, she says, thanks. You are loved. Trying to save my voice. Can we just imagine this? He cried out with here's what he said. He's going to say it again in a minute. Bless me, even me also, oh my father. I've taught in years gone by how important it is for kids to get the blessing from their parents, and how there is an empty hole inside of us until those that brought us into this world can say, I love you, I'm for you, I'm thankful for you. And by the way, that's one of the things that we do for one another at church, because a lot of people didn't get that in their home of origin. And our kindness and our goodness to one another is part of God through us filling up where that's lacking in each other's lives. This guy's a big, masculine hunter, outdoorsman, and he's in a puddle over his dad's refusal to bless him. Then he said, have you not reserved a blessing for me? How he's like a little kid again, right? We're like, we can go right back to being kids with our parents. Isaac answered and said to Esau, behold, I've made him lord over you and all his brothers, and I've given him servants, and with grain and wine I've sustained him. I gave him all my stuff. I don't have any stuff for you. Esau said to his father, have you but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, my father. Wow, wow, wow. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Is the dad softening? Watch this selfish play right here. Then Isaac, his father, answered, you want a blessing? You want a blessing? You want me to say some stuff to you? Here's what I'm going to say to you. Behold, away from the fatness of the earth, your dwelling shall be. Good news or bad news? Come on. Away. So it's like, is that what he said to him? You want a blessing? Here's your blessing. And away from the dew of heaven on high. So bad soil, no rain. By your sword you shall live, and you shall serve your brother. When you grow restless, you shall break his yoke from you. That's really toward the end of his life. We'll get to that. I tried to write a little poem here. I know you guys really appreciate my efforts, so here's that blessing. You won't ever see this probably on a greeting card or anything. You know, the Esau blessing. Don't start a company with this. We're going to call our company the Esau blessing. Here would be a good summary. Bad soil, no rain, live by sword, die a slave. That's what his father said to him. And you know, it's honestly really fun to try to make the story come alive so that you can feel the weight of what's happening. So on all of our campuses, feel it right now. That is a seriously twisted, dysfunctional, strongholds everywhere home. And it's not lost on me that many of you can call to mind something similarly twisted in your history. And it is affecting you. And I don't bring it up callously or with indifference. I hope and pray that I bring it up with the heart of a pastor and say, nothing's going to change until that gets addressed. That is affecting the way we think. It is a stronghold that is fortified. I'm not going into that. I'm not going to open that up again. And yet you say it's over there and locked down, but the reality is it's affecting so much that's happening. And we're going to talk about tearing that down, but now we just need the honesty of saying, I have some of that for sure. So let me just point out to you that in this particular instance, this whole thing, get the blessing, get the birthright, get the livestock, get the wine, get the servants, get it, get it, get it. This was a non-monetary society. If this story was playing out today, it would be get the 401k, get the pension, get the savings account, get the house in Wisconsin, get it, get it, get it. It's that. It's money. And the heading over this stronghold is money matters most strongholds. Money matters most. Get more. It's all about the money. We only care about the money. Look what you're doing to your husband. I just want the money for Jacob. How can you treat your dad like that? Because I want the money. How can you refuse Esau? You're the one that messed this up, blind guy. Like, fix this. You can pray for the other son. You can roll it back. You can say, you lied, you're out, you're back in. He can do whatever he wants here. But he's stubborn and selfish, and this is a money matters most family. Jot these down: stubborn money strongholds. Stubborn money strongholds. Number one, I have, therefore I am. And in some families, the parents purchase and polish and parade what they have, and the kids grow up thinking that happiness is stuff. And that stronghold is on every campus in our church right now, in every section of the worship center right now. We prayed for God to help us be honest. It's so hard to be honest with ourselves. That's a big money matters most stronghold. My identity is in what I have. And we buy it, and we polish it, and we adore those things. And I don't relate to that at all. Kathy and I grew up with very little. My dad was a school teacher. Kathy grew up with a lot less than that. She went to 10 different elementary schools. I really do not understand. If somebody gets something, I'm super happy for you if something happens for you. I don't understand that counting, measuring what I have, and how much do you, and how much, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I just want to say that I have my own strongholds, and you clearly have yours, and we're not going to be judging each other about each other's strongholds. Someone say amen. We just want to work on these things and begin to think differently. Here's another stubborn money stronghold. I count, therefore I'm safe. It isn't always the person who's spending a lot because they have a lot. Sometimes, I knew a guy a few years ago who every year he said, this year my wife and I are living on 10% less than last year. Really? Really? Well, that's awesome if you need to do that. And I don't know if he did or didn't, but by the time he'd done it 6 or 8 years in a row, I want to be like, can we talk to your wife and see how this is going? And we don't spend anything. We don't spend anything. Look at this coat. I bought this coat in 1981. It's as good as the day I bought it. No, it isn't. Okay? And that's a bit freaky. And God forgive us, the haves can be smug and polish and purchase and parade, and the have-nots, sometimes those who have the least are the most consumed with money matters most strongholds. And then I covet, therefore I resent. The Exodus 20 says, thou shalt not covet, but we do. And we see what people have, and we think we have to have it. And again, the opposite. I'm content, therefore I'm superior. We don't need anything. And then the last one, I compare. Comparing. I think I've said plenty about that, but some people compare and then they think we got to catch up, and so they spend money they don't have and they put it on. I have taught you that I don't think there's anything wrong with having a mortgage on a house if you can afford it, but consumer debt that has no asset to back it up is just immense foolishness, and I would be afraid to know How many people in our church have the stronghold of buying things on credit cards that they can't afford and then struggling to pay for them? How's that working for you? Go home today and cut that up and don't get another credit card until it's all paid off, or maybe for you ever. You say, well, I can't do that. Correct. You think you can't because it's a stronghold. Well, I need a credit card. You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. So, I want to try now to pull this together in the time that remains. And so I'm going to go back to the subject of disposition and home of origin. I want to try to tie them together. So let's review the 4 dispositions. And I have a little chart here that is adapted from a chart by Dr. Garrett Higbee on our staff called the 4 Hearts. Some of you might recognize it. Let's review these 4 dispositions. So the choleric, and we talked about this, the choleric is the driver. They need to win, they're aggressive, and so on. Cholerics, hands up if you're choleric. Come on all of our campuses, hands up. Come on, half the clerics. Don't tell me, I put my hand up when I want to. I'm writing. Leave me alone. I got it. That's you. Well done. And then if you think about vehicles, the choleric is driving a steamroller. The sanguine, however, is driving a Volkswagen minivan with a surfboard on top, flowers on the side, shag carpet inside, 11 people in the van. They're almost out of gas. He doesn't know. There's loud music coming out of it. Where's this going? Nowhere good. Expressive, fun, impulsive, late. And then the phlegmatic, you can see there. We spent a lot of time on this. The phlegmatic is driving a electric car that is getting unbelievable mileage, which he would be super happy to tell you about. And that car is clean and polished. Please don't touch it. And all of these, of course, have strengths and weaknesses. The choleric, get things done. The sanguine is so much fun. And the phlegmatic is measured and faithful. The melancholies make the world a beautiful place. I don't know how much beauty there would be in this world in music and art. Thank God for the melancholy temperament. But now I want to circle back to these, and I want to show you they each have a way of thinking. The choleric mind is what we're going to call discordant thinking. And they're the people that are in conflict. They see conflict as a barrier to getting things done. If you're a choleric, you've got a lot of conflict in your life. You don't even know all of it. And it's a conduct disorder. These are more clinical terms. Oppositionally defiant. You don't have any problem standing up to anybody about anything. And that's disruptive. And that, listen, loved ones, that's a way of thinking. And if you have it, you were born with it. The sanguine mind, very different than the choleric, though they're both extroverts. This is impulsive thinking. Impulsive thinking. And, think like AD. I'm sanguine as my temperament. I was going to study what ADHD was, but I got super busy and I forgot, and I was, so I wasn't even, it's something. And then intermittent. So the sanguine can be fun and playful and enjoyable, but they turn fast. And so a little more intermittently explosive, and they also, with weaker self-control, depending on what their secondary, because you have a primary and a secondary, can be prone to addictions. The phlegmatic is not discordant thinking or impulsive thinking. This is anxious thinking. While we all have to get victory over worry, the phlegmatic person is really battling that. Post-traumatic stress disorder, generalized anxiety, even panic attacks can become consuming. And the melancholy is depressive thinking. And they have highs and lows, even can battle dysthymia, which is intermittent depression, or major depression. Now, I want all of us to have in mind our primary and secondary temperament. I'm sanguine choleric. My wife is choleric or phlegmatic. The phlegmatic never wants to admit they're anything, so if you don't know what you are, you're probably phlegmatic. So my wife is arguing with me cholerically about whether phlegmatic is more or less, and she's just perfectly what the Lord made her to be, and I as you know, love her dearly. And I want you to find your place in this and have it in your mind, because in the center of this diagram goes the word sin. And all problems in my life, in my family, and on the face of this earth, in this church, are the result of sin. All right, now let's talk about how sin manifests itself in the choleric. Keep this in mind, please. Our theme verse from 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, which says, the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh. Have you memorized this? The weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but they are divinely powerful to destroy strongholds. We are destroying arguments and every lofty opinion that raises itself against the knowledge of God. We are taking every thought captive to obey Christ. Say amen. So run up the center there: strongholds, arguments, lofty opinions, and thinking differently. And let's locate those things quickly in each of the temperaments. The choleric stronghold is anger. If you're a choleric, your thing is anger. And I hope to God that the person sitting with you isn't nervous to look and see if you're admitting it. That's a stronghold. You think, you feel relief, you feel even adrenaline when anger goes out and you think you're fixing something. I had a dear friend on staff make me a little t-shirt. It's quite a few years ago now, but super helpful. When I get angry, I lose. It's not a win, it's a loss. The phlegmatic can get angry and everything's awesome, and you can't figure out because you don't realize that you're like 10x at phase 1. So, the stronghold is anger. The argument of the cleric is, I won't, I won't. You will. No, I won't. We need you to. I'm not. The choleric is willful. The stronghold is anger. The argument is, I won't. Now, this is where it gets important. The lofty opinion. The lofty opinion is a theology. Remember, it says in 2 Corinthians 10, and we are destroying every lofty opinion that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. What fortifies the stronghold is bad theology, a wrong belief about God. And the choleric justifies the stronghold of anger with the argument. What they're saying, their internal self-speech is, I won't. And their lofty opinion is that God's not just. God's not just. I have to handle this. I have to settle this. I have to take care of this. If I don't get what's coming to me, nobody will take. You are wrong about that. You're wrong about that. God loves you. And you can wait on that. And you don't have to. So the thinking differently for the choleric is humility. And that doesn't mean acting humble. I wouldn't give you a dime for somebody who acts all self-effacing. The truly humble person is not thinking about themselves at all. They're thinking about other people. So cholerics, please be thinking about that as we move to the sanguine, whose stronghold is foolishness. Why are you talking like that? Why are you acting like that? Why are you foolishness? And while the cleric is saying, look here, while the cleric is, I won't, the sanguine is, I want. And their bad theology is that God's not sufficient or God's not enough. I need more. God, and I can't be happy until. And what the sanguine needs desperately is the wisdom of God's word. Now the phlegmatic mind. The phlegmatic stronghold is not anger as the choleric or foolishness as the sanguine. The phlegmatic stronghold is fear. And if that's not your thing, that's hard to relate to. Some of you are never afraid of anything ever. But others are. And just like you battle anger or foolish decisions, the phlegmatic battles fear. That's the stronghold. And while the choleric is saying, I won't, and the sanguine is saying, I want, the phlegmatic is saying, I can't. And that's the internal self-talk for them. I can't keep doing this. I can't. And their bad theology, their lofty opinion, how dare we reconstruct God to fit with our strongholds? Their lofty opinion is that God is not sovereign, that He's not in control, that He's not taking all this to a better place. And just as the cleric needs humility and the sanguine wisdom, the phlegmatic needs trust. You need to trust God. Trust God. Wait and pray and trust. Now the melancholy is again different, and while the cleric is angry, I won't, and the sanguine is, I want, and the phlegmatic is, I can't, the melancholy is, I doubt. I doubt. It's the thought processes in their own mind. And so because of that, they despair. Their stronghold is despair. Their argument is, I doubt. Doubts, never settled, nothing's ever settled. I don't want to be a Christian anymore. I tried that for a while. I want to try something different. Really? I don't relate to that at all. And I want to say I don't judge that at all. I don't doubt. That's not a battle for me. But maybe you don't battle what I do. And again, I want us to be so gracious and good to one another. If despair is your stronghold, then I doubt is your argument. And your bad theology is that God's not good. The Bible says again and again that the Lord is good and His steadfast love endures forever. And if you allow yourself to believe the lie that God is not good, how quickly that can be a stronghold. And what you desperately need is hope. What you desperately need is hope. Now, you think about that and pray about that, and I promise you we're going to come right back to this next time on thinking differently, and we're going to start to talk about instead, okay? Instead, we're going to start to talk about not my disposition, not my home of origin, but we're going to actually start to study the decisions that I've made. And let's stand for prayer, and then we're going to sing and go. Father, I'm so thankful to be called one of your sons, and as your sons and daughters through faith in Jesus, we thank you for the glorious privilege that we have been given to be called your children. Only eternity itself will reveal all that you've done in us. We are so thankful to be in the light today. But we just want to acknowledge to you again that sometimes our thinking's just wrong, just bad, and some of it we've held on to for so long. God, we long to be free, and we thank you that you are the one that sets free. We thank you that your truth sets free. And God, we would move out of the impact of our twisted disposition because of sin and things that for some of us happened many, many years ago in our family. God, we want to be free and give something better to our own children. And so we ask you, Lord, that you would cause our thoughts and our minds to be focused upon Jesus Christ. We ask, as Paul prayed, that the word of Christ would dwell in us richly. We ask that you would stir up in us love and affection for Jesus. Because when we think about Jesus Christ, when we focus our minds on Him, we remember why we are here and where this is going and what matters most. We love to think about you. We love to think about you, Lord.
Thanks for listening to Walk in the Word. We pray that God's Spirit has ministered to you in the exact way that you needed. These messages are the fruit of James MacDonald's weekly pulpit ministry, and now you can access every new sermon on our website, fresh from the weekend service. For more information on how to get James' most recent message, go to walkintheword.org. That's where you'll find the sermon videos, audio and video podcasts, as well as devotionals and other Bible study resources. Again, go to walkintheword.org or call 888-581-WORD. All of our ministry resources are focused on helping you continue to grow in Christ as you walk in the Word.
Open up the heavens. heart and filling every part of our prayer.